In today's Final Touch, the fastest man on Earth proves he won't be slowed down by a little thing like
lack of gravity. Olympic gold medalist Usain Bolt raced in an Airbus Zero-G plane above France. It was a sponsorship event for GH Mum Champagne. Bolt easily beat his competitors, and he called the race mind-blowing fun. As for the astronauts, they went home with a bottle of bubbly. That's our time for now. News Street 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, after two failed referendums to improve facilities at Milton schools, the district is now asking parents for ideas about the school's future.
A federal lawsuit that claims the district attorney harassed and retaliated against a former assistant district attorney has been settled. We'll have the details.
And how the Wisconsin Department of Transportation is bolstering flood cleanup efforts.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. After two failed facilities referendums in 2 years, the Milton School District is asking parents for their input on what should happen next.
The district hosted an open house last night to give parents a chance to share their ideas for the future of the schools. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with what the district is saying today. Adam?
Well, the city of Milton has a population of roughly 6,000 people. Today, I learned the school district of Milton has a total of 3,500 enrolled students, and now the district trying to find any way it can to expand. Now, two facilities referendums that would have expanded the school failed, one in 2016, one in 2017. Ideas in the past have included building a new high school and converting the current high school into a middle school. Superintendent Dr. Tim Scheiger says that while the city might not be large, the area the district covers is.
School district community serves 9 municipalities. So in the townships and then the city of Janesville, city of Milton, and it's 100 square miles. So we have a lot of kids and a big space to bring kids from.
At last night's open house event, Scheiger and the Milton School Board listened to ideas from parents about how they would tackle the issue of overcrowding were they to be in charge. Now, Scheiger said a third referendum could be on its way as early as April of this school year. And coming up at 5, we'll hear from a parent of a child in the district how they feel about the overcrowding.
We will see you at 5. Thanks, Adam.
A woman is in the hospital tonight with serious injuries. A suspect has been charged. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call Saturday night asking for an ambulance to respond to a town of Lodi home for a report of a woman with a broken neck. First responders found a 48-year-old woman who was seriously injured in a domestic incident and could not move. As deputies tried to talk to the suspect, 50-year-old Brandon Meek of Lodi, he became uncooperative and violent toward the deputies and resisted arrest. The sheriff's office said the victim is still hospitalized for those injuries. Meek is charged with 5 counts, including second-degree reckless injury. He remains in jail on a $10,000 cash bond.
A gas leak at the Veterans Hospital in Madison has been located and resolved. A spokesperson from the William S. Middleton Memorial VA Hospital says there was a minor gas leak in Building 2, which houses the call center and a laundry facility this morning. The building was briefly evacuated, as well as some patients from the community living center next door. UW-Madison police say crews responded and rerouted traffic during the gas leak. Roads were reopened just before 9:30 this morning.
All right, what can we say? It's just another beautiful day around here as we watch what's happening along the southeast coast. Here's Gary Canalti with more. Gary?
Well, indirectly, as we've mentioned the last couple of days, Florence is keeping our weather quiet. It's blocking weather systems from moving across the country, and we're right underneath high pressure, and that means our weather will stay the same for the next few days. As we look at visible cloud track, you can see Wisconsin in the clear between clouds to our east, clouds to our west. Just a perfect place to be, and not a drop of rain anywhere around the state. As we check out low temperatures this morning, again with the dry air, temperatures start out cool. A few places were in the upper 40s. Most areas were in the lower to middle 50s. Here in Madison, we dropped to 53. Temperatures so far have been in the upper 70s to the lower 80s. A little cooler close to Lake Michigan, a little warmer out toward the Mississippi River. Dew point temperatures have been creeping up, but they're still not terribly high. It just means they won't be quite as cool at night. Temperatures will probably drop into the middle 50s to around 60. I'm looking for a low temperature tomorrow morning of about 56. Then look for partly sunny skies tomorrow. A warm day with a high temperature of 82. That's your first look forecast.
All right, Gary, thank you. There is no rest for some Red Cross volunteers. Just a few days after helping with all the flooding around here, They'll head to the Carolinas to aid in hurricane relief efforts.
Dave Caulfield is here with more on what's going to be a whirlwind week of service, Dave.
Yeah, they got a couple of days off and right back on a plane, Eric and Susan. 41 Red Cross volunteers from Wisconsin are assisting with the eventual fallout from Hurricane Florence. Now, Judy and June, two of those volunteers who we spoke with today, just embody the amazing drive of all those providing disaster relief. These two volunteers are part of the disaster assessment team for the Red Cross, the second wave of volunteers, if you will. They'll go in and find the hard-hit areas and provide vital food, shelter, and supplies to those who need it most. Now, Judy and June will fly into Raleigh on Saturday and spend at least 3 weeks helping out in any way they can for the Carolinas and Virginia. Officials say the quick turnaround from helping with local flooding to Florence is part of what makes the Red Cross so special.
People like Judy and June, they do it because they've got big hearts and they've been trained to go out and help people. So it's no surprise to me that they would be up and ready to do that.
You know, one of us can't get the job done, right? It's going to take thousands of us to get in there and accomplish what needs to be done.
Now, Judy and June have been on more than 15 disaster relief efforts with the Red Cross. They say the most important lesson they've learned from the recent Wisconsin floods is to practice patience, which they'll need to do again, helping victims of Florence. And not everyone can get out to the Carolinas or Virginia to assist with the relief efforts, but you can still make a difference on the Red Cross's website. You can send monetary donations and also sign up to be a volunteer in the future, two things that they really do need.
Well, and good for Judy and June.
Absolutely.
Safe travels to them. We wish them the best of luck. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Governor Walker has taken the first step toward requesting a federal disaster declaration in connection to the flooding and tornado damage across Wisconsin. The governor has requested the Federal Emergency Management Agency to conduct a preliminary damage assessment here in Wisconsin. The governor said he's hoping to get federal disaster relief as quickly as possible. After this assessment, the governor can use the information in a request to the president for a federal disaster declaration.
Seniors who live on the first floor of an apartment complex on Madison's west side are finally able to return home tonight. It's been 3 weeks since residents at Prairie Park Senior Apartments had to evacuate. Floodwaters did more than $1.5 million in damage, ruining the entire electrical system. Greystone Property Management says residents on the second and third floors will likely have to wait until the elevator works. The company hopes that that will be completed by Tuesday.
The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is bolstering flood cleanup efforts.
As part of an agreement with Wisconsin and Southern, the DOT will award the railroad company $750,000. As our Keely Arthur reports, there are some conditions. Keely?
That's right. Parts of this Wisconsin and Southern Railroad were ravaged by the flooding, as you can see here in Middleton. Things have been fixed up, but head further west and parts are still unusable. Now, companies that use this railway every day need that to be fixed.
Cleanup continues all over our community, including on our railways. Crews just outside of Middleton are working to pick up debris and fix tracks following the historic rainfall and subsequent flooding that pummeled our area. According to Railroad Company Wisconsin and Southern, thousands of feet of track were damaged or even underwater. Crews are working to get the entire stretch between Madison and Prairie du Chien repaired by September 22nd. If deadlines are met, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation will grant Wisconsin and Southern $750,000. The DOT tells us this rail line is publicly owned. The grant amount was determined as an incentive for WSOR to restore railroad services as soon as possible. Good news for the businesses who use the railways and want things back on track.
Now, this railroad is jointly owned by the state, county, and the railroad company. Again, DOT awarding that company $750,000 or up to 80% of the total cost of repairs.
Keely Arthur reporting live. Keely, thanks.
The La Crosse area saw some of the worst flooding late last month, and now that community is coming together to give back to those in need. Volunteers with Fight the Flood are looking to raise $150,000 to go to flood relief efforts. As people are driving to the Oktoberfest grounds for the Fight the Flood concert, volunteers are waiting across the street to collect those donations.
We're working with some city officials, we're working with some churches, we're working with some Rotary clubs throughout the area and so on, trying to identify those areas that have some of the greatest need.
The Fight the Flood concert started at 11 this morning, and it'll keep on going until about 11 o'clock tonight.
There is a warning out tonight about flood-damaged cars that are making their way onto used car lots. Flood-damaged cars that have been totaled should have a salvage title, but some sellers don't follow those guidelines. AAA says you should check for flood damage when you're buying a used car and be aware of damp and musty odors. If the carpet and upholstery has been recently cleaned or replaced, that could also be a sign of flood damage. And look for rust or corrosion on the body and inside electrical connectors. That could also be a giveaway. Experts say it's very smart to have a second set of eyes inspect your car before you buy it.
So it's important as car buyers in the next, really couple of years are buying used vehicles from the Madison area to check out and make sure that there aren't any damages that were never even reported. Bringing it to a mechanic, having them look through those systems like the electrical system to look for corrosion.
AAA also recommends prospective buyers purchase a vehicle history report like the ones available from Carfax. The battle between the Dane County District Attorney and his former assistant is coming to a close.
The DA's office settled a federal lawsuit that claimed DA Ishmael Ozan harassed former assistant DA Bob Jambois, forcing him out of office. Rose Schmidt at the News Center to break down this complicated case. Rose?
That's right. Now, this all started in 2016 when Jambois decided to run against Ozan in a primary election for district attorney. At the time, Ozan was his boss. Ozan ultimately won the primary, but after the election, Jambois filed a lawsuit claiming that the DA and his staff retaliated against Jambois for challenging him. He says Ozan assigned him a large caseload and that he forced him out of the office. The lawsuit was settled this week for $350,000. Today, Jambois tells me he wants to move on with his life, but he hopes the settlement sends a message to Ozan.
He can't treat his staff this way. He's got to treat them with respect. He's got to treat them with courtesy. So I felt that this resolution benefited me, but I also felt that it benefited the other people that have to continue to work in that office.
Ozan sent a statement to News 3 saying, "I continue to maintain that no one in the district attorney's office did anything wrong. I settled this case taking into consideration first and foremost the best interests of our community, Wisconsin taxpayers, and the operation of my office." The Dane County Executive's Office says neither the Dane County DA nor the assistant district attorneys are county employees. They're employed by the state, meaning taxpayers in Wisconsin would be responsible for paying the settlement in this case.
All right, Rose Schmidt, our News Center. Rose, thank you. With Election Day now less than 2 months away, people have been questioning the marketing strategies this year to advertise various candidates on the state level. Some have noticed fewer political yard signs. It has some wondering if statewide elections are shifting a bit to digital versus those more tangible yard signs, bumper stickers, and lapel pens. Well, tonight at 6, our Jamie Perez will dive a little bit deeper into why the number of those election signs are down again. That's tonight at 10.
Speaking of the election, the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Foundation has rescheduled a statewide televised gubernatorial debate. It was previously scheduled for October 5th. The debate will now be held Friday, October 19th at 8 p.m. Republican Governor Scott Walker and his Democratic challenger Tony Evers will participate in the debate.
More to come on News 3 at 5. Up next, funeral services are being held for the man shot and killed in his own apartment by a Dallas police officer.
And President Trump is denying the death toll from Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico 1 year ago.
And on Wall Street, a strong day for U.S. stocks as the Dow surges more than 147 points. NASDAQ up almost 60. The S&P up for a fourth straight day, climbing 15. We'll be right back.
Save
Breaking right now, emergency crews are responding to what they believe is a series of gas explosions that have damaged homes across 3 communities north of Boston. State police say troopers are responding to the area to help secure areas after multiple suspected gas explosions. Right now, according to a local fire chief, there are 20 to 25 homes on fire. It's not immediately clear yet whether there are any injuries.
Funeral services were held in Texas today for the man shot and killed in his own apartment by a Dallas police officer.
Family and friends of Botham Jean celebrated his life today. The 26-year-old was shot and killed a week ago by off-duty Dallas police officer Amber Geiger inside his own apartment. The officer told investigators she mistakenly entered Jean's 4th-floor apartment, mistaking it for her apartment on the 3rd floor.
We as Americans, as humans, must turn away from the incivility that has rotted away at our interactions and not overreacting with deadly force.
A grand jury could ultimately decide to bump up the manslaughter charge that Geiger faces to murder.
While the government prepares for the impact of Hurricane Florence, President Trump is tweeting about Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico a year ago. This morning, the president tweeted, quote, 3,000 people did not die in the 2 hurricanes that hit Puerto Rico. When I left the island after the storm had hit, they had anywhere from 6 to 18 deaths. Then a long time later, they started to report really large numbers, like 3,000. This was done by the Democrats in order to make me look as bad as possible, end quote. Many are taking issue with the president's tweet.
Casualties mounted for a long time, so I have no reason to dispute those numbers.
Now, FEMA admits it was unprepared for Maria's destruction, but says it has learned lessons that'll help with future storms like Florence.
Let's head out to the weather patio, and we continue to get the good side of Florence. It's keeping our weather high and dry. Hi, Gary.
Hi, and that's exactly what we need. I mean, we're getting to the point where the lawns could use a little rain and maybe the flowers too, but you know, at least the river levels that are still very high in many locations are starting to come down, and the more dry weather we have, the better for that. But let's start out by taking a look at Florence right now. This is over the last 12 hours. It has maintained its strength as a strong Category 2 hurricane. The latest information from the National Hurricane Center shows that the maximum sustained winds right now 105 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at about 5 miles per hour. So it's slowed down, and that's bad news, at least as far as rainfall amounts are concerned. The winds are going to be very strong. It's going to cause a lot of wind damage right along the coast. The winds will diminish a little bit as you move farther inland, but still it's going to maintain a lot of its strength, at least in the short term, as it moves right along the coast, and then as it moves inland will weaken to a tropical storm, but still continue to dump heavy amounts of rain. It'll bring a lot of storm surge along the coast, and then eventually, as time goes on, this is as you head toward the end of the weekend, you can see how the remnants of Florence start to head northward and then back northeastward into New England. So it'll bring rain to our east and to our southeast, but not in our part of the Midwest. Hurricane warnings remain in effect along the North Carolina and the northern and South Carolina coast. Tropical storm warnings in effect inland. Tropical storm watch into central portions of South Carolina. The U.S. GFS computer model shows the heaviest rainfall over North Carolina with lighter amounts farther to the north. But take a look at the European computer model showing a large area of 10 to 25 inch plus rainfall from southern North Carolina through the northeastern portion of South Carolina, and then 4 to 10 inch amounts or higher inland into the central portions of North Carolina and into southwestern Virginia. And that's mountainous territory. That's going to cause a lot of mudslides and flooding. Live here from the Platteville Quebe Radio Skycam in Platteville and the WISC Skycam here in Madison. Hardly a cloud to be found. The Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing plenty of sunshine on the southern end of Lake Mendota. As we look at the almanac for today, a pleasant high of 79 degrees, low temperature 53, and right now we're sitting at 78 with sunny skies, winds out of the east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. So as Florence continues to move inland, you can see behind it there's not much going on. There's a couple of tropical weather systems farther south in the Atlantic Ocean, but nothing of immediate concern for the United States. A weather system in the Gulf of Mexico could eventually strengthen into a tropical depression or tropical storm and bring rain into southern Texas. But notice, out ahead of those weather systems, the large area of clearing from the southwestern part of the country through the Midwest and through much of the Northeast, and that's right where we are. Big area of high pressure at the surface, keeping our weather quiet. Temperatures 70s and lower 80s. A couple of cold fronts out to the west have much cooler air behind it. Notice temperatures in the 30s just north of the U.S.-Canadian border, but that will be blocked, at least for the time being, thanks to Florence's influence on that high pressure system. 56 for the overnight low temperature with clear skies. Tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with a high of 82. See on future track, just a few clouds coming in later tonight, lows in the mid 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow, highs in the lower 80s. More clear to partly cloudy skies tomorrow night, lows in the upper 50s, and then back to the lower 80s on Saturday. And as we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, dry weather expected for Sunday and Monday as well. Now, the next chance of a shower or thunderstorm arrives Monday night into Tuesday as the weather systems start moving eastward across the country. We'll turn cooler on Wednesday and see some shower and thunderstorm chances from Wednesday night into Thursday and early Friday, and then again from later Saturday into Sunday of the following weekend. As we take a look at first alert traffic, it's a sunny day, but the belt line is pretty slow, especially in the eastbound direction. That's the DOT camera at Todd Drive. Right now, slowdowns eastbound from around Monona Drive all the way back to west of Verona Road. Westbound, the delays start around Todd Drive and head back to John Nolan Drive. Half-hour commute eastbound on the belt line from University Avenue to the interstate, back in the westbound direction, just shy of 20 minutes. Heading out of Madison, 28 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990 from the belt line, 27 minutes out to Sauk City on US 12. There are some delays north of Middleton, and then 16 minutes out to Sun Prairie on Highway 151 East Washington Avenue. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Still ahead on News Street 5, an alarming new report has been released from the World Health Organization. What it says about cancer. That's when we come back.
News.
Well, this just in, Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan tells News 3 there will not be any charges filed against Badger wide receiver Danny Davis. Davis served a 2-game suspension after being mentioned in a criminal complaint involving Quintez Cephas, who is suspended from the team indefinitely for being accused of sexually assaulting 2 women. Davis will make his debut with the Badgers on Saturday, home game against Brigham Young. A new report is shining a light on cancer cases around the globe.
The study highlights the number of cases expected this year, the locations with the most risk, and the most common types of cancer. Reed Binion has more.
An alarming new report from the World Health Organization. Researchers from the International Agency for Research on Cancer estimate 18.1 million new cases and 9.6 million deaths this year alone. The report looked at data from 185 countries and 36 types of cancer. Based on that information, researchers found 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women will develop cancer during their lifetime. So why is cancer becoming a more common cause of death? Partly because in many countries, stroke and heart disease deaths are down. Researchers also say the global population is growing and more people means more cancer. And as that larger population ages, the risk of cancer rises. Location is also a factor. According to the report, the likelihood that you'll get cancer depends on where you live. Nearly half of the new cancer cases worldwide were in Asia, which has 60% of the world's population. And the Americas are home to 21% of cancer incidences, but just over 13% of the world population. Europe accounts for 23.4% of cancer cases, but just 9% of the world population. According to the new report, lung, breast, and colorectal cancers are the most prevalent. For men, lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death. For women, it's breast cancer. For today's Health Minute, I'm Reed Binion.
And we'll have another check of your forecast when we return.
On tonight's CBS Evening News from Wilmington, North Carolina, the big rains and winds have arrived, and it's about to get a lot worse. We will have much more on the surge, the duration, and the impact of Florence with our team of correspondents in the region on tonight's CBS Evening News.
Boy, how lucky we are.
Yeah, while they're suffering, take a look at this weather. Temperatures right now, upper 70s, 78 here in Madison, about 80 to the west of us. Dew point temperatures, 50s to lower 60s, very comfortable. Next couple days, temperatures in the lower 80s. Next chance of rain Monday night into Tuesday, and then again from Wednesday night into Thursday and early Friday, and later next weekend.
All right, we're back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6. Stay tuned. A lot of Florence coverage on the CBS Evening News.